The movies that time forgot. Welcome back to another episode of The Movies That Time Forgot, a review show where I talk about the movies that people don't know about or they don't remember, but either way, they just don't talk about them anymore. This is my fourth episode, and today we're going to be looking at an old cult classic called Class of 1984. Let's take a look.
Take a look at my face, I belong to the future.
First, I'll tell you a little bit about how I came across the movie in the first place. This movie was kind of infamous to me and my friends when we were kids, back in elementary school. My one friend, one of my best friends, always told me about the movie when we were kids, Class of 1984. He told me a little bit what it was about. But the funny thing is that we never saw it. We can never find a copy of it on VHS in any of our local video stores. The only reason my one friend knew about it is because not only was the film shot here in Canada, and my friend's mother, apparently, back in the day, she was an extra in the film when they shot Class 1984. It wasn't until about 2005 or 2006 when Anchor Bay Entertainment released it finally on DVD, and we finally got a hold of it. We got a copy of it. We watched it, and we liked it. We really enjoyed it. It was great. I mean, we finally got to see it for the first time. And in 2005, 2006, this was like high school. So we were a lot older now. So much time had passed. So the film was made in 1981. It kind of has a little bit of an exploitation kind of feel to it. It's, I guess you could say it's like a grindhouse movie. It was directed by Mark L. Lester, who went on to do Firestarter and Commando, which would be a big one for him. It stars Perry King. Perry King was a big actor back in like the 70s and 80s. So the movie is about this teacher, played by Perry King. He's a really good, goody two-shoes, by-the-book teacher who is transferred to this, basically the high school from hell. He's just the perfect guy. He's got a wife and they just moved to town, and he comes to this school, and this school is just the worst school. It's got the worst bunch of kids. It's got teachers who just don't care. There's metal detectors at every entrance of the school. There's security guards and police officers. And Perry King, this new teacher, just can't believe this. He's like, what? Why are you treating this like a prison? And all the other teachers who work there, who are all cynical, are trying to tell him, like, look, you have no idea what you're in for. It's basically, so there's an old film called To Sir with Love, a great film with Sidney Poitier. This movie is kind of like the horror thriller version of that movie. When Mark L. Lester made the film in 81, I remember reading that when he added metal detectors and security guards around the school and made the school basically like a maximum security prison, I think critics and audiences they sort of balked at that. They thought, well, that's so far-fetched, like that's never gonna happen. Not long after, in some American cities, that ended up being the case. There would end up being metal detectors and security guards at these rough high schools in these bad neighborhoods in the US. So the students, the kids, the film focuses on one particular batch of kids. There's 5 of these particular students. They almost kind of run the school. So you have the leader. His name is Peter Stegman. There's Drugstore, who's like the drug dealer, the crackhead. You've got Barnyard, who's the muscle, just this big brute. You have Patsy. She's I think she's supposed to be Stegman's girlfriend. I'm not sure. And you have Fallon. And Fallon is like kind of like the hothead. He's also kind of like the muscle in a way. They run drugs in and out of the high school. They deal with prostitution. I mean, there's a scene where outside, you see what their life is like outside of high school, and there's like this little club, this bar that they go to where they run it behind the scenes. They get a lot of other kids in trouble. They attack other kids. There's a scene where one of the kids gets high off LSD or something like that and accidentally kills himself as a result. I don't want to get into spoilers too much. I don't want to spoil the movie too much because I do think people should check it out. So Perry King, the whole movie is him struggling to try to bring his optimistic approach to try to get through to these kids and to help them. Another great character that the film introduces is another teacher a biology teacher played by Roddy McDowall. The late, great Roddy McDowall, one of my favorites. Unlike Perry King, he's kind of a contrast to Perry King because he has given up. He still goes to class and teaches, but he just refuses to try. And he brings a loaded gun with him every day to school in his briefcase. Things escalate and these kids do more and more horrible things. It gets to the point where Perry King starts to realize, okay, maybe I can't really get through them and maybe I have to play their game. But there's a great scene where Perry King catches Stegman doing something in the men's washroom, and Stegman frames Perry King's character by assaulting himself. He bashes his head in on the sink, and Perry King is in shock. And then, of course, he tells all the other principals and teachers, like, look what he did to me. He's crazy. He tried to kill me. I mean, everything goes wrong for Perry King. I mean, these kids, they find out where he lives, and they start, threatening him and showing up at his house and doing all kinds of horrible things. A little bit of trivia for you. Michael J. Fox is in the movie. A very young Michael J. Fox. I think he's even credited as just Michael Fox. He's one of the only few likable good students. There's him and this one girl that they focus on. They're like the only few good students in Perry King's class, in the music class. So let me get to the best scene in the movie, and it's not a spoiler, don't worry. So Roddy McDowall is a biology teacher, and he keeps these rabbits and these birds in his class. You don't see it, but you see the aftermath where Stegman and the kids, they break in and they kill and mutilate these poor animals. And Roddy McDowall, he sees this, and he's an animal lover, and he sees his class, and you can just see the gears turning. He just snaps. The very next day, Roddy McDowall is teaching these kids with a gun. It's such a suspenseful and nerve-wracking scene. There's so much tension because you don't know if Roddy McDowall is going to just lose it or if someone's going to intervene. And then, of course, Perry King comes in to try to talk him down like a hostage situation. He's holding the students hostage. He won't let them leave. And that's like the highlight of the movie right there. Things get really out of hand. I mean, things get personal for Perry King's character. By the third act of the movie, and without spoiling it, because the third act of the movie is such a payoff. It's so satisfying. Timothy Van Patten, who plays Stegman, there's a scene where he's in the music class with Perry King, and Perry King is trying to say, like, why are you even here? You don't apply yourself. You don't seem to have any particular talent. You don't want to learn. You don't care. And then Timothy Van Patten gets on the piano, and he starts playing this really nice and beautiful solo, which apparently Timothy Van Patten actually wrote himself and performed himself. And Perry King looks at Stegman and realizes, oh my God, this kid actually, he's not stupid. Like, he's insane. He's a bad seed, but he's not an idiot. He does have talent. He just chooses not to use it. He just chooses to go down a dark path. Timothy Van Patten, it's a shame because I don't think I've ever seen him in any other movies after that. He has become, since, a very successful director. He's done a lot of great big TV shows, especially for HBO. He's done many episodes of Sopranos. He's done episodes for Game of Thrones, Boardwalk Empire, The Pacific. I mean, really big TV shows. Back in high school, like 2002 to 2003, every week on the summer breaks, I would go to Toronto with my dad. My dad and I, we used to walk by the actual high school where they filmed Class 1984, which I'm pretty sure is still standing, is still there. That's where they shot the exterior scenes for Class 1984. It's Central Tech High School. It's kind of interesting seeing Toronto back in the day, 1981, 1982, because you do get to see a lot of it. You get to see a lot of the exterior shots for it. And there was an old store called Sam the Record Man. But there's some scenes that are filmed down on Yonge Street, and there's like a chase scene, I think, between, the Stegman and his clan are chasing this girl, and I think Michael J. Fox or some other kids down Yonge Street, and you could see all the old stores, Sam the Record Man, and so it's kind of neat. I like movies that are filmed close to home. I like movies that are filmed in Canada where, you get that feeling, that sense of these movies are filmed almost in your backyard, so to speak. If there's anything wrong with it, if there's anything holding it back, it's obviously it's dated. The story itself, I think, is still relevant. You know, it's something that can still hold up, but it's when you have it take place. So this particular copy here, this is from Scream Factory, Shout Factory. Shout Factory and Scream Factory, they are a distributor like Kino Lorber or Arrow, that they release and restore old cult classic and well, really any films on Blu-ray and DVD. You get this great poster art, and you not only do you get a bonus poster on the slipcover, but you get the original theatrical one sheet on a reversible sleeve. Okay, so final rating. First and foremost, should the movie be remembered or forgotten? I'm going to say remembered. I think people should check it out. Like I said, I know it's dated, but it's got some great suspense, some great thrills, great performances all around. It's always going to be something that, you know, there's always going to be bullies. There's always going to be those bad apples. And this is just a very entertaining way of dealing with that type of scenario. Now my furnace shuts off. Out of 5 stars, what am I going to give it? I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. I really enjoy the film. You know, it's not perfect, but it's a great popcorn flick. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, leave a comment. I will be taking suggestions if there's anything you guys want for me to check out. And I will see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye.